Good morning. So, I was just bringing my horses in for their breakfast from their turnout, and Logan made me think of something. So, there's a difference between a horse asking you to leave their stall because you're making them nervous in their stall. Like, they'll give you kind of a, the look on their face is kind of a, you're making me uncomfortable, please. It's a very polite, almost request for you to exit their stall. I've had horses that, I had adopted a Chincoteague pony, from the wild, so to speak, and when he first was learning about being in a stall, he would allow me in there to clean the stall with him, and then after a little while, you could tell he had decided that he wasn't understanding my accompanying him in the stall, and would kind of look at me like, okay, I've reached my limit, I'm uncomfortable, could you leave? Like, there was a politeness about it. And I've had other horses that had a politeness about it. I've had other horses that were very protective of their space and would also, with the same kind of, you're making me uncomfortable, get out of my stall, more of a, like, they've developed a defensive behavior or kind of an aggressive behavior about asking you to leave their stall, but their motive or their reason for asking you to leave the stall is the same as behind a horse who just doesn't understand it. A horse that this particular horse I'm thinking of, his name was Miles, and he would do what I call like a drive-by. When he had had enough of me being in his stall, he would kind of do circles past me while I was doing whatever I was doing in the stall to kind of indicate that he's reached his limit or I've reached my welcome limit, and now I'm making him uncomfortable. It was still based on his discomfort. It wasn't based on his... It wasn't aggressive to be aggressive. So I'm getting somewhere with this. So now Logan, for example, he has always had a mild food aggression that, and kind of a mild stall aggression towards like horses that walk by. He'll lunge out the door towards a horse that's walking by. He was a stallion until he was 5.5. He's 7 now. Maybe he's 8. I think he's 7. No, he's 8. So like when you walk past him with another horse, he'll, alligator his way out the door. But today, I fed him, they always come into a bucket of grain. So when I went to remove his halter, they know that they can't put their nose in their buckets till I have removed their halter, and then they are, free to eat their breakfast. So what he did was he put his nose in his food bucket, and then he came and I was still in the doorway, still exiting. I was leaving, but I was apparently not fast enough for his liking. And he came up out of the food bucket and kind of gave me a look like, get out. Well, in a case like that, now in a case like the other two, I would be respectful of their request for me to leave. I know that the one doing the drive-by was aggressive, and you don't want to respect the aggression, but he had anxiety that was unfortunately expressed through his aggressive behavior. So we had an understanding that I was always going to respect things that made him feel anxious, and so in his case it was respected, and I would leave, but I would leave letting him kind of know that my leaving was still my idea. You didn't tell me to leave, but I respect that I'm making you uncomfortable. Logan, on the other hand, demanded I left. And there was no discomfort on his end. I wasn't making him uncomfortable. He was just not desiring. He was being dominant. He was saying, my food, get out, get away. So in his case, what I would do, or did, is I stood in the doorway and stayed there in kind of a, I will leave when I darn well feel like leaving, and you're going to tolerate me being here, and until you relax and kind of snap out of that little bit of attitude you got going on there, I have no intention of going anywhere, so get over it. There's no confrontation. I didn't go, like, I wouldn't go after a horse. That kind of, he didn't like snake his head at me, he didn't come at me with his teeth, he didn't pin his ears. It just kind of was like that look in his face and like intention in his energy when he moved his head towards me. And then again, he didn't move his head towards me in a I'm gonna bite you way, or I'm gonna hit you with my head way. It was just kind of a, hey, get out. So in that case, there's no retaliatory behavior on my end. It's just, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm not leaving yet, because in that case, my superior position on that totem pole will matter. And anytime they get away with those kind of dominant behaviors, that's when they start believing that they have a position above you, the human, and they should never feel that they're above you. But not met with aggression. When people say, oh, you got to show them who's boss, I think that's the most horrible, misleading thing anybody could tell, especially a young person, because showing them who's boss always seems to indicate using force, and there's no force necessary. I can just stand there and say, deal with it, dude, and almost like, kind of, not, because you don't want to be, your energy in your body shouldn't be laughter, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to show a kindness or a funness about it for you, because then he's not, he thinks he just didn't even make his point. You want to make sure he believes he made his point, and then you responding to his point. So like, you don't, I was going to say you make a game out of it for yourself, but you do, you kind of like, oh yeah, well, I guess I'm going to have to stay here for a minute because apparently you misunderstand who's the boss here. And again, it's not like I went back at him. It's not like my energy went back towards him. I didn't make any body movements towards him. I didn't make any physical corrections towards him. I didn't even verbalize anything towards him. I said in my own mind, well, I guess I should stay here for a second because apparently we misunderstand the chain of command here. And then when he relaxed, when he kind of gave up on his insistence that I left, when he relaxed and said, all right, whatever, I guess you're gonna stay, that's when I left. But I didn't leave when I was told to leave. I left when I was either accepted being there, or I would have left if I was asked to leave. There's a big difference between the energy that comes from a horse telling you to leave or an energy coming from the horse asking you to leave. I'm very, very, very respectful of my horses' stalls. I feel like that is truly, especially horses that are with pasture mates, horses that are out in group turnouts, their stall is absolutely their only personal space. So I'm extremely respectful of their personal space. I come in obviously to do things like this, fill their water buckets, or if I, for some reason, couldn't put them outside and I had to clean their stalls with them in their stalls, I'll come in their stalls for that. Unfortunately, it does seem to be easier for the vet to do shots with the horses kind of in their stalls, so that's another time that I will invade their homes. But other than that, when I go to halter my horse, I come to the door. I wait for the horse to come to the door to be haltered. I don't have horses that show me their tail anyway, because they understand that their job when I arrive at their halter is to come and put your head in the halter. So that's something that's been explained to them, so they don't turn away when they see me come with a halter. All my horses will greet me at the door. As a promise to them, I won't come in your house and yank you out of bed. I will knock, and I'll wait for you to come answer the door. And I believe 100% that showing them that kind of respect helps them believe in you as a fair participant in their life. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to approach, was that a horse that, like, even if they didn't do anything that would be considered aggressive, even if they didn't pin their ears, even if they didn't spin around and try to kick you, even if they didn't try to bite you, if they kind of step at you, or their head kind of comes in the direction of you with an energy of, you know, you've done your business here, now get out of my house, I will never leave being told to leave like that. So I don't know, you know, that's kind of an energy read. I don't know if everybody can read the difference between being asked and being told, but there is a difference, and there's the right way to, well, in my opinion anyway, the right way to handle both situations. Okay, so knowing when to respect your horse's ask to leave, or knowing when to say, I guess I'm going to stay a while, when they're telling you to leave. So, have a great day. See, this guy right here. This guy right here. Mr. I need you to leave. Right? So, right? And he's a lovely horse, you know, so it's not, he's not a mean horse by any means. He's a lovely horse, right? Yes. He's asking me to get out of the way of the water so he can get a drink, and I'm going to make him wait because he was rude to me earlier.